This section is about state diagram and activity diagram. First, we can see what is a state diagram. A state diagram is used to represent the condition of the system or part of the system at finite state instance of time. It's behavioral. It's a behavioral diagram and it represents the behavior using finite state transitions. State diagrams are also referred to as state machines and state chart diagram. These terms are often used interchangeably, so simply a state diagram is used to model the dynamic behavior of a class in response to time and changing external stimuli. We can say that each and every class has a state, but we don't model every class using a state diagram. We prefer to model the states with three or more states. Now we can see uses of state chart diagram. We use it to state the events responsible for the change in state. We do not show what process caused those events. We use it to model the dynamic behavior of the system, to understand the reaction of objects or class to internal or external stimuli. There are two types of diagrams in UML. First one is structure diagrams. We used to model the static structure of a system. For example, class diagrams, package diagrams, object diagrams, deployment diagrams, etc. The second one is behavior diagram. It is used to model the dynamic changes in the system over time. They are used to model and construct the functionality of system. So a behavioral diagram simply guides us through the functionality of the system using use case diagram, interaction diagram, activity diagram, and state diagram. Now we can see difference between state diagram and flowchart. The basic purpose of a state diagram is to portray various changes in the state of the class and note the processes or commands causing the changes. However, a flowchart on the other hand portrays the processes or commands that on execution change the state of class or an object of the class. The state diagram above shows the different state in which the verification subsystem or class exists for a particular system. Here first we start and we can see that card swipe and next one waiting for the pin and pin enter. If the pin is correct then it is verified, then it is not correct then the pin is rejected. The next one is pin authentication. The end last state is user identified. If the pin is correct, the pin is verified and user was identified. This is a state diagram. Next we can see basic components of a state diagram or state chart diagram. The first one is initial state. We use a black filled circle to represent the initial state of a system or a class. We can see that a black circle. The second one is transitions. We use solid arrow to represent the transition or changes of control from one state to another state. The arrow is labeled with the event which causes the changes in state. Here we can see state 1 and one transition to state 2. That arrow is mentioned as event. State 1, one event is occur and that has transitions to state 2. Next one, state. We use a rounded rectangle to represent a state. A state represents the conditions or circumstance of an object of a class at an instance of time. A round rectangle to represent a state. Okay. Next one is fork. We use the rounded solid rectangular bar to represent a fork notation with incoming arrow from the present state and outgoing arrows towards the newly created state. We use the fork notation to represent the state splitting into two or more concurrent state. If one state is split into two or more concurrent state, then we use the fork notation. It has one arrow coming through and one rounded solid rectangle and the splitting parts. If the state is split into two, then we have the two other substates, and it is a figure a diagram using fork notation. Fifth one is join. We use a rounded rectangular bar to represent a join notation with incoming arrows from the joining states and outgoing arrows towards the common goal state. We use the join notation when two or more states concurrently converge into one on the other occurrence of an event or events. If two states are joining to one state, then we use join. They have two coming states and incoming states and one outgoing states in that join. Here we have the figure of that. The next one is self transition. We use solid arrow pointing back to the state itself to represent a self transition. There might be scenarios when the state of an object not change upon the concurrent upon the occurrence of an event. We use self transition to represent such cases. If a state is not going to another state and it repeat itself, then we use self transition. Here there is a figure for that notation. Next one is composite state. We use a rounded rectangle to represent a composite state. We represent a state with internal activities using a composite state. Here we have example for state with an internal activity. And eighth one is final state. We use a filled circle within a circle notation to represent the final state in the state machine diagram. Here we have that notation. And now we can see the steps to draw state diagram. Step 1 is identify the initial state and the final terminating state. Second one is identify the possible state in which the state can exist. Boundary values corresponding to different attributes guide us in identifying different states. Third one is label the events with trigger this transaction. Label the events which trigger these transactions. Here we can see example of state diagram for an online order. On the event of an order being received, we transit from our initial state to unprocessed order state. And the unprocessed order state is then checked. If the order is rejected, we transit it to rejected order state. If the order is accepted and we have items available, we transit to fulfill order state. If items are not available, then to pending order state. After orders are fulfilled, we transit to final state. Next one is activity diagram. We use activity diagram to illustrate the flowchart of control in a system and refer to the steps involved in the execution of a use case. We model sequential and concurrent activities using activity diagram. So we basically depict workflow visually using an activity diagram. An activity diagram focuses on conditions of flow and sequence in which it happens. We describe or depict what causes a particular event using an activity diagram. Model basically three types of UML models basically three types of diagrams, namely structure diagram, interaction diagram, and behavioral diagram. An activity diagram is a behavioral diagram, that is, it depends the behavior of a system. An activity diagram is very similar to flowchart. Now we can see difference between an activity diagram and a flowchart. Flowcharts were typically invented earlier than activity diagrams. Non-programmers use flowcharts to model workflow. For example, a manufacturer uses a flowchart to explain and illustrate how a particular product is manufactured. We can call a flowchart a primitive version of an activity diagram. Business process were decision business processes where decision making is involved is expressed using a flowchart. So programmers use activity diagrams, advanced version of a flowchart, to depict workflow. An activity diagram is used to develop to understand the flow of programs on a high level. It also enables them to figure out constraints and conditions that causes particular events. A flowchart converges it into being an activity diagram if complex decisions are being made. Now we can see difference between use case diagram and an activity diagram. An activity diagram is used to model the workflow depicting condition, constraints, sequential and concurrent activities. On the other hand, the purpose of a use case is to just depict the functionality, that is, what the system does and now how it is done. What the system does and not how it is done. So in simple term, an activity diagram shows how, while use case diagram shows what for a particular system. The levels of abstraction also vary for both of them. An activity diagram can be used to illustrate a business process, that is high level implementation, to a standalone system, that is ground level implementation, to a standalone algorithm, that is ground level implementation. However, use cases have a low level of abstractions. They are used to show a high level implementations only. Now we can see notations used in activity diagram. The first one is initial state. The starting state before an activity takes place is depicted using the initial state. Here we can see the figure notation for initial state or a start state. A process can have only one initial state unless we are depicting nested activities. We use a black filled circle to depict the initial state of a system. For example, this is a state when they are instantiated. The initial state from the UML activity diagram marks the entry point and the initial activity state. For example, here the initial state is the state of the symbol before the application is opened. The second one is activity state or action state. An activity state represents execution of an action or objects or by objects. We represent an activity using a rectangle with rounded corner. Basically, any action or event takes place is represented using an activity. Here we can see the notation for an activity state. One example is consider the previous example of opening an application. The application is an activity state in the activity diagram. The third one is action flow or control flow. The action flow or control flow are also referred to as path and edges. They are used to show the transition from one activity state to another. Here we can see the notation for control flow. An activity state can have multiple incoming and outgoing action flow. We use a line with an arrow head to depict the control flow. If there is a constraint to be adhered to while making the transition, it is mentioned on the arrow. Consider the example. Here both the states transit into one final state using action flow symbol, that is arrow. Next one is decision node or branching. When we need to make a decision before deciding the flow of control, we use the decision node. Here is the notation for decision node. The outgoing arrow from the decision node can be labeled with the conditions or God expressions. It always includes two or more output arrows. Here we can see one example for activity diagram using decision node. Okay, this have two output. One is yes and one is no. That is, if the condition is true, that will goes to yes section, and if the condition is false, it will goes to the no state. Next one is gods. A god referred to the statement written next to the decision node on an arrow, sometimes within square brackets. God gods being next to the decision nodes. This is the figure for God. The statement must be true for the conditions to shift along a particular direction. God help us to know constraints and conditions which determines the flow of processes. Next one is fork. The fork is used to support concurrent activities. Here we can see the notation for fork. When we use a fork node when both the activities get executed concurrently. That is, no decision is made before splitting the activity into two parts. Both parts need to be executed in case of a fork statement. We use a rounded solid rectangular bar to represent a fork notation with incoming arrows from the parent activity state and outgoing arrows towards newly created activities. For example, in the example given below, the activity of making coffee can be split into two concurrent activities, and hence we use the fork notation. Here we can see the activity making coffee is split into two: one adding coffee and steaming milk. Next one is join. The join node is used to support concurrent activities converging into one. For join notation, we use two or more incoming edges and one outgoing edge. Here we can see the figure for join notation. For example, when both activities, that is steaming milk and adding coffee, get completed, we convert them into a final activity. The next one is merge or merge event. The scenario arises when activities which are not being executed concurrently have to be merged. We use the merge notation for such scenarios. We can merge two or more activities into one if control proceed if the control proceed on to the next activity irrespective of the path chosen. Here we can see the notation for merge. And here we have the example of activity diagram using merge notation. We can't have both sides executing concurrently, but they finally merge into one. A number can't be both odd or even at the same time. We can see the example for activity diagram. Next one is simlane. We use simlanes for grouping related activities in one document. Simlanes group related activities into one column or one row. Simlanes can be vertical and horizontal too. Simlanes are used to add modularity to the activity diagram. It is not mandatory to use swimlane. They usually gives more clarity to the activity diagram. It's similar to creating a function in a program. It's not mandatory to do so, but it is a recommended practice. Here we can see the notation for simlanes. We use a rectangle column to represent the simlanes as shown in the figure. The next one is time event. We can have a scenario when an event takes some time to complete. We use an hourglass to represent a time event. Here we can see the notation for time event. For example, let us assume that the processing of an image takes a lot of time. It can be represented as shown below. First state is first start state, and that has uh, goes to input state, and next that is in a processing state, that is time event. Then it goes to the final state. The last one is final state or end state. The state which the system reaches when a particular process or activity end is known as final state or end state. We use a filled circle with a circle notation within a circle notation to represent the final state in a state machine diagram. A system or a process can have multiple final states. Here we can see the notation for final state. Now we can see how to draw an activity diagram. First step is identify the initial state and the final state. Second step is identify the intermediate activities needed to reach the final state from the initial state. Third one is identify the conditions or constraints which uses the system to change control flow. And the next one is draw the diagram with appropriate notation. Here we can see an example. First we can see the start state, and it transit to next state, that is input the number. And here we can see a condition checking. If the condition is true, that is condition is if the number is odd. Okay, if the number is odd, then it goes to the true state yes and display the number. If the number is false, then it goes to the other part, that is no. Then subtract 1 from that number, then we will get an odd number, and it has transits to the display number and final state, and it moves to the final state, that is end state. Now we can see the uses of an activity diagram. Dynamic modeling of the system or a process. Illustrate the various steps involved in UML use case. Model software elements like method, operations, and functions. We can use activity diagram to depict concurrent activities easily, and it shows the constraints, conditions, and logic behind the algorithm. Thank you.